Hey everyone, Jason here, and welcome back to the layout. Don't worry about getting your eyes checked. You're not seeing double vision. What you're seeing is my old MTH Dealer Appreciation Program Norfolk Southern OCS set, equipped with Proto Sound 2.0, sitting next to my brand new MTH Norfolk Southern OCS set, equipped with Proto Sound 3.0. I'm going to compare these two models, review the Proto Sound 3.0 version, and run it around the layout. All of that in just a few seconds on Jason's O-Gauge Terrains. One of the most common questions we're asked as model railroaders is, what's your favorite engine? And while I don't have a definitive number one, I can at least say that the Norfolk Southern OCS set has always been in my personal top 3. Shouldn't be a surprise. After all, my channel logo is based off of the Norfolk Southern OCS. The real Norfolk Southern ABBA OCS engines made their debut in 2007. They made dozens of trips each year on Norfolk Southern's various rail routes and often attended major sporting events such as the Masters and the Kentucky Derby. Unfortunately, Norfolk Southern sold these units in 2019. The Reading and Northern Railroad bought one of the A and B units, while the Aberdeen, Carolina, and Western bought the other A and B unit. Seeing my favorite modern railroad sell off my favorite engines on their roster was heartbreaking to say the least. But I was lucky enough to see them in action on several different occasions. When I first saw them, I immediately fell in love with the F unit design, the black, white, and gold paint scheme, and that beautiful horn. After seeing it, I knew I had to get a set for the layout. MTH released their first version of the Norfolk Southern OCS set in 2008. It was released exclusively as part of MTH's Dealer Appreciation Program, or DAP for short. This means that dealers could only order a maximum of 2 sets each. As a result, only about 250 of these DAP sets were made, making them very rare, valuable, and hard to come by. The full set featured the ABBA engines equipped with Proto Sound 2.0, a 5-car pack of passenger cars, 2 2-car packs of passenger cars, and a dome car for a grand total of 10 Norfolk Southern passenger cars. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to secure a set when it first came out, so I spent several of the subsequent years tracking down each individual item. I was finally able to convince Uncle Ray at Uncle Ray's Trains to sell me his ABBA engines, 5-car pack, and dome car. However, it took me another 2 years for me to track down the remaining 2-car packs. But alas, I prevailed. I own the complete set, I've put many miles on it, and if you've been subscribed to this channel for any amount of time, I'm sure you've seen them in action on my layout. Now, while the DAP set is still considered very rare and highly sought after, MTH has re-released the ABBA units twice in their premier lineup since the original 2008 debut. A 2016 release featured the same engines but were equipped with Proto Sound 3.0 and had very few subtle physical differences, which I'll get to in a minute. The final release actually just arrived in 2020, the main differences being that these ABBA units doned the 3-digit cab numbering just like the prototypes had in their final year of Norfolk Southern ownership, opposed to the 4-digit cab numbering that came earlier. It's also worth mentioning, MTH has released these units as part of their Rail King lineup as well. Williams by Bachmann has released a version, and Lionel recently released a legacy-equipped version as well. All of which are fine examples of the prototype, but for me personally, I've always been the fondest of MTH's version, and that's what we're going to be focusing on today. So fast forward to today. Unfortunately, my Proto 2 units are starting to show their age. I recently had to send them to my local train store, Stockyard Express, for repair. One of the ditch lights had burned out, and the trailing A unit was locked in reverse. Those issues have been fixed. However, what's perhaps the most disheartening is that a piece of white paint has actually chipped off of the lead A unit. Now, this wasn't a shock to me. Paint cracking and chipping was a known issue with this specific model during its release. I knew it was only a matter of time before mine succumbed to the same defect. I'm still looking for options to have the paint chip fixed, but I have decided to semi-retire these engines. They'll still see runtime, but will spend most of their time on a display shelf of honor. But I can't have a layout without Norfolk Southern F units that I can run every single day. That would just be silly. So recently, I took to the internet to try and hunt down the 2016 Proto Sound 3.0 release. I searched for this version because I still wanted the 4-digit cab number, and I also knew that this version had an awesome horn that sounded just like the prototype. So thanks to the train gods, I found a gentleman who had bought the ABBA consist brand new with the intention of building a layout of his own. He never got around to building that layout and was now looking to offload the set. Not only did he offer me a great price, but the set was still brand new in the box. Perfect condition, never run. Is that great luck or what? I won't mention his full name on here, but Tony, I can't thank you enough. And I assure you, the set has gone to a good home. Let's do a quick comparison of the Proto 2 version versus the Proto 3 version, and I'll just say this off the bat. Each version does some things better than the other, but they're both great models in their own right. So here are the two units side by side. The Proto 2 version is on the left, the Proto 3 version is on the right. At first glance, the two sets look nearly identical. However, the white color of the Proto 3 set appears to be a slightly brighter shade of white, while the Proto 2 version appears to have a slight shade of eggshell white. Neither shade looks bad, and I don't necessarily think one is better than the other. The front of the two locomotives is where I noticed the most physical differences. Let's start with what the Proto 2 version does well. The Proto 2 version has more typical number boards compared to the Proto 3 version. The Proto 2 version also has more prototypical grab irons on the nose of the cab, and when looking at photos of the prototype, MTH even got the location and position of this yellow roof grab iron correct. Now let's highlight what the Proto 3 version does better. For one, because it's a newer model, the paint is flawless. No fading, no cracking, high gloss finish, it's beautiful. The Proto 3 version also uses LED headlights and ditch lights, which cast a much brighter light than the Proto 2 version. The ditch lights flash in a much slower, more prototypical pattern than the Proto 2 model, and probably my favorite thing of all is the horn. MTH must have been paying close attention or went out and recorded the real thing, because the horn sounds exactly like the prototype. Now I know there are a bunch of rivet counters out there screaming about the fact that neither of these models should have doors on the front of the nose, or that MTH forgot all these other details, but hey, I'm not worked up about it. These are model trains, they're toy trains, they're meant to be enjoyed. I'm not sweating it. So those are all the major differences between the two. Now let's focus on just the Proto 3 version moving forward. The Proto 3 version has everything you'd expect from MTH. 2 motors, smoke units, sound, cab figures, separately applied details, and it's a very smooth runner. It's worth mentioning that each item in the ABBA consist was sold separately by MTH. Each A unit was sold separately, each B unit was sold separately. On one hand, it made the whole consist more expensive, but on the plus side, it also means that both A units can run independently from the other. They each have their own sound system, DCS board, which allows you to run the set with either A unit leading, depending on how you lash up the engines in the DCS remote, or you can run them on completely different trains. The choice is yours. Before we take this thing for a spin, I'd like to conclude the review with my favorite feature, and my favorite feature for this is definitely the horn. I blast the horn so much while running it around the layout because it sounds just like the prototype, and I feel like I'm watching it fly by just like I did in real life. Imagining that it's on its way to Chicago, Georgia, Kentucky, Ohio, wherever. It puts a big smile on my face when I run this set. Okay, so I've got the set ready to go on my outside loop. I've got the original 10 NS DAP cars behind it. Let's power this thing up, take it for a spin.
All aboard and welcome to Norfolk Southern's Blue Ribbon Special. Today's train will feature the locomotives and equipment from Norfolk Southern's office car special fleet. Today we'll be running from Atlanta to Chattanooga and return. Taking the time to recognize all of our employees for their hard work and achievements in safety performance. Once we're underway, you're invited and encouraged to walk through the train. And if you have any specific questions about the cars or their features, please talk to Dennis Pennebaker. All of the company representatives here today, along with me, are available to answer your questions throughout the trip.
Make sure the sand bins are topped off.
I'll check that out. We are ready to move. Crew change in 3 hours. Roger that.
that should do it for this review. The product numbers for each ABBA unit are 20-20556-1, 20-20557-1, 20-20556-3, and 20-20557-3. If you're interested in one of these sets, your best bet is to search on eBay or Facebook buy and sell pages. I do see them pop up fairly regularly, so you could be in luck. I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. I greatly appreciate your support. As always, I'll do my best to answer your questions in the comments below. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time.